How? Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Let's get into it, girls. Hi, I'm Audie. I have autism and I don't know a lot, but I do read a lot. Welcome to this week's vlog. It's the girly episode. I read a lot of different genres of books, but contemporary romance is not one that I tend to be drawn to. However, I do enjoy watching the romance book girlies enjoy their contemporary romance while sitting in their clean girl aesthetic rooms with their perfect hair and their minimal makeup and their Ana Luisa jewelry. They always look like they're loving what they're reading so much, and I want to be one of them, at least for a while. I am someone who has lived on the outskirts of what is popular for forever. I've also lived on the outskirts of femininity. I lived so on the outskirts of femininity that I can't even say the word. I blame that mostly on the autism because it makes my vibe kind of weird. If you haven't picked up on that already, that's okay. Love who you are. However, I just wanted to try. I wanted to try to be one of the book girlies. So with the help of my roommates, I put into action Project Approximation, where I am going to attempt to approximate a romance book girly for however long it takes me to read the romance books that they picked out for me. So I chose two authors that I know are popular but whom I have never read a word from, and they picked out a book for me to read. Book Lovers by Emily Henry and Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I don't really know anything about these books. This one I know nothing about. This one, I know that our main guy, romantic interest, he has anxiety, and that it's an age gap, and she is like 10 years older than him. Love that for her. I don't know if I'm gonna like them. I'm gonna go into them with an open heart and an open mind, and we'll see what happens. I've never read anything like this before. I'm excited. So we're gonna read contemporary heterosexual romances. We're gonna write in a book journal. I don't know what else we're gonna do, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. Let's go back to earlier today when we went to Barnes & Noble and acted like fools, and it was fun. Okay, you guys ready for your assignments?
I'm listening.
All right. Your author is Abby Jimenez.
Okay.
Find one of her books, anyone, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Your author is Emily Henry. Repeat it to me so I know you know it.
Oh my gosh, you didn't make her repeat it to you.
I trust her more.
You're doing the traffic too.
Look, they match. Kyle, that's the wrong way. Wow. They match. Why this one?
Because you love books.
Because it's a redo of Aladdin. It's not just the same title, it is in fact a direct reference.
Wow. Right. Happy same day, new day. Sorry if you can hear loud neighbor sounds. I hear them all day long. I'm feeling especially rough today because what is more girly than going to Planned Parenthood to get your birth control shot and then dealing with the shitty symptoms afterwards? I would love nothing more than to just turn off my brain and escape my body. Thankfully, I'm reading contemporary romance this week, so that should be easy. I could either get involved with Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez or Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm leaning towards Book Lovers because I don't think I'm gonna like it. I have more faith for Part of Your World. To be honest, I wanted to read an Abby Jimenez book because I follow her on TikTok because she posts videos of her cute dogs. And I had no idea she was an author. And then one day I just happened to see a video where she was like, hey, look at my books. And I was like, hey, I know those books. I've seen that cover. You're the same person? And ever since that moment, I've been intrigued. I don't know. I feel more hopeful for this, so I'd rather eat the frog and just start with the book that I'm not stoked on. V.E. Schwab and Casey McQuiston both blurbed this. That seems like a weird combination. What is this even about? She's a literary agent who needs to become the heroine of her own story. Okay, she runs into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city that she doesn't like. Okay, well, I guess let's do this. Oh! I want to show you my bookmark. It's a cat, but look at the tail. So, you have a book, you have a cat. Look at that! Look at that! Isn't that cool? Well, it's not supposed to do that. Haha. He just hangs out there on your page. Genius. That's right, I'm on the prologue and I already have some thoughts. I'm not the only one who has some thoughts. Beaker Wattlesworth? He also has some thoughts. I don't know how I feel about self-awareness in books. This romance book is opening by saying, when books are your life, or in my case, your job, you get pretty good at guessing where a story is going. The tropes, the archetypes, the common plot twists all start to organize themselves into a catalog inside your brain, divided by category and genre. The husband is the killer, the nerd gets a makeover, and without her glasses, she's smoking hot. The guy gets the girl, or the other girl does. Someone explains a complicated scientific concept, and someone else says, in English, please? The details may change from book to book, but there's nothing truly new under the sun. Okay. And then she says that the trope that governs her days, the archetype over which her details are superimposed, is that of the ice queen girlfriend to the guy who goes to a small town and falls in love with the charming Christmas tree farmer or baker or whatever. I don't know. It just feels kind of weird for a book to be like, I know you're reading a book, and you know that you're reading a book. And now you know that I know that you know that I know that you're reading a book. You know? It just feels weird. Oh boy. This is gonna be a fun reading vlog for everyone involved. We're staying open, we're staying open, we're staying open. We are girly, we are girly, we are girly. Book girly, romance girly, book girly, romance girly. We can do this. I'm so sorry, it's us again. You know how the book said that she was the ice queen? That was her trope. Yeah, well, her boyfriend is leaving her for somebody he found in a small town on a work trip. You know, the trope playing out in her real life. Anyway, the woman that he's leaving her for, her name is Chastity. I think really, this is what the universe has chosen to do. A bit on the nose, isn't it? In this case, it's chosen to guide my boyfriend into the arms of a woman named after the ability to keep a hymen intact. That's not how that works. Just a side note, okay? We're on page 5. Happy same day, new day. No, my hair and my face are not horrendously greasy. I just showered and moisturized, so we're actually clean. Thanks. She's hyping me up. Last night, I got to about 130 pages into Book Lovers. It's full of cat hair, as a you. It's fine. Because I don't read a lot of contemporary romance, I have to put on my contemporary romance hat and think about it in those terms. Because one of my pet peeves is when people critique books in genres that they don't normally read, therefore don't really have any frame of reference or knowledge about. It's fine if a genre isn't for you, it's fine if a book isn't for you, that's not the problem. And you can say why. Go for it. Say why you don't like books. But if you're going to critique a book and its structure and its storyline and how it's done, you need to have prior knowledge of that genre in order to do it accurately. And so, because I don't normally read contemporary romance, I have to continually check myself and be like, chill out for a second. Is this a critique of this book? Or are you just saying that because you don't enjoy this genre? I'm struggling a little bit. It's just kind of a mediocre, kind of dull rom-com that is forgettable. Nothing is a surprise. And like, I know that that's kind of the point. Like, I view contemporary romance as one of those kind of comfort genres where you go into it knowing the formula, and that is why you're going into it. I totally understand that. I read a lot of cozy murder mysteries, and like, those are very formulaic. I know exactly what I'm getting when I'm going into those, and sometimes they can throw in little gems to surprise you, but like, I know what I'm gonna get, and that's why I'm reading it, and that is totally legitimate. Same thing for contemporary romance. You go into this, you know what you're gonna get, and that is valuable in and of itself. I don't think it's a comfort genre for me. But maybe I need to chill out because I'm only 130 pages in. I do think it's kind of that they are said to be each other's arch nemesis. They had one crappy meeting 2 years ago where they didn't see eye to eye on something. Babes. I also think this is just a pet peeve of mine in general, and it's not specifically against this book or this genre, but I am so sick of authors writing characters as having dead parents in order to give them a meaningful backstory, in order to give them character depth. They're like, well, I gotta murk one of your parents. Well, that'll give your life depth. It's such a lazy way of giving your character a backstory. I'm sick of it. There are a million other things that could give your character depth. That's irritating on a personal level. I'm not going to take it out on this book per se. It's just irritating on a personal level. Also, this book is very much giving The Holiday. Some scenes in this book have just been remakes of scenes from that movie, which I understand could be appealing for some people, but not for me. I love The Holiday, don't get me wrong, but like, leave it alone. I don't want to see it recreated. And like the banter between the love interests is fine. Like, it's reasonably realistic, but also fun, I guess. I could see the appeal of their interactions if you're a romance reader. Does that tell you anything? I know I'm still in the setup of this book, but like, I'm not that interested. I genuinely am more interested in the Bigfoot erotica that they keep referencing than in this actual book. I know what I like. Let's stop the jibber jabbering and just get into the reading. How about that? How about that? How about that for a concept for a reading vlog? Shut up and read. I lean into the table, its edge digging into my ribs. I've got that feeling of reading a mystery novel, knowing a reveal is coming up, and fighting the urge to skip ahead. I've got bones to pick. I'm trapped here in viscous honey, incapable of stepping back from the ledge. Honey is inherently viscous. Thank you so much for your contribution. Charlie's like, could you keep that down? Every time you gasp like that, you almost give me a heart attack. And Libby retorts with this. Well, your cafe chairs are giving me hemorrhoids, so I'd say we're even. What are you doing on that chair that is giving you hemorrhoids? Because I think you should probably stop. You thought, Emily Henry, you thought I would read this book and I wouldn't catch on to your elf references? Oh wow, hi, I say, once again hoping I come across as a human raised by other humans. It's nice to meet you. I'm an elf, raised by elves. You thought. I'm getting real tired of this bit where it's like, she's a literary agent, so she thinks of her life. I just realized this is another reference to The Holiday. She's a literary agent, so she thinks of her life in literary tropes. Just like Amanda from The Holiday thought of her life in, you know, she had that weird like inner dialogue that was a narrator's voice. It's like the same thing. She can't separate herself from her work. You mean the whole town band together to save a beloved establishment? I broad. Exactly like the trope? The whimsical free spirit bringing magic into everyone's lives, I say. I'm familiar with that trope. I fear I'm starting to believe that the romance book girly lifestyle is not the lifestyle for me. Well, I finished it. And this book made me go full Charlie. The antithesis of girly. Because what the hell, my dudes? This is what you love? This is a New York Times bestseller? This has over 1 million reviews on Goodreads? This has like a 4.13 average rating? This? I told myself I wouldn't do this. I told myself I would be measured and I would be objective. But I want my 24 hours back. I guess I kind of understand, like, of course people love this. It steals scenes and lines from some of the most popular rom-coms over the past few decades. So yeah, people love it. People are programmed to love it already. They already do. I'm gonna say it. I don't think Emily Henry's character work is very good. The reason why I say I don't think Emily Henry, at least in this book, I don't think her character work is very good is because these are archetypes. Because there's no real feeling there. There's also no buildup of tension between the characters. They're into each other immediately, even though they're supposed to be each other's nemesis. They're emailing and flirting and texting and physically fucking around once they find each other in this small town where they're both staying. And for no good reason, they keep being like, we can't do this. This is a bad idea. But like, it's not a bad idea. There's no real reason for them to not have a good time. I just genuinely cannot understand. The characters were boring. They were boring and they all sounded the same. If there were not clear markers saying, Libby said this, Nora said this, Charlie said this, I would not know who was speaking because they were all the same. The characters are so one-dimensional, and I've mentioned this several times already, but I'm so sick of authors using the dead parent trope to try and instill some kind of depth to their characters. I thought that was just going to be like, oh yeah, your parent is dead, boo-hoo. But no, it wasn't. It was like the main part of this girl Nora's personality. I didn't care. Also, I had no reason to care because her background and the tragedy is all just like told to us. We don't get scenes where we get to feel anything or experience the pain. The history is just monologued. And it's like, oh, okay. Sucks to be you. And also, how does this book have so much going on and yet nothing happens? Like, by the 250 page mark, I was bored. I didn't want to hear about the book that these two are editing together. I didn't care about the sister's checklist because I had no reason to care. It just kind of fades in and out of the background, even though I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the driving factor of this book, and it was poorly executed in my humble opinion. This book tried to be subversive of the romance genre by being self-aware that it was a romance book and having the characters react to situations by referencing romance tropes. And so it was like a, haha, I know I'm a romance book. This book is a book of character archetypes. No matter how much it tries to claim that it's not, it is. And if you don't already like those archetypes, this book is not going to win you over. Do I understand why people would enjoy this? Yes. It was easy to read, it was competently written, and it was like reading the equivalent of a Hallmark movie. But it was reading the equivalent of a Hallmark movie that had too many plot lines and didn't know how to handle them. Too many fingers and too many pies. Also, why does this book have such a boner for New York City? I'm drained. I have no more words. And you're probably like, thank God. This one is, we're done. We're done. However, I have started Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. And can I tell you, even 36 pages in, this is by and large the better book. We have interesting side characters. We have a baby goat. I've actually laughed a couple of times while reading these 36 pages. That didn't happen with that book. I actually want to pick this up. I want to read this. I didn't want to read Book Lovers. I just plowed through, unlike the main characters, until page 300. Funny and entertaining, that's what I want. Hopefully Abby Jimenez will continue delivering that. And if I like this, I will go back to pink girly mode and not oversized muscle tank Charlie T. We'll see if she can resurrect this vlog. I have faith, but I have faith in Emily Henry too. And that was a... Sorry, we're not going to talk about... Let's just read them. Well, let's not talk about the past. Let's journal. I need a break from all this romance rot that my brain has been steeping in this week. Even though this book is actually treating me very well. I'm not that far into it, but I broke out the tabs so that I could tab moments. Book Lovers' wishes. This is funny. And like, I know I sound shocked, but honestly, after reading that Emily Henry book, I am shocked. I'm actually laughing out loud, chuckling, guffawing, cackling. Just listen to this line alone. 8,000 nerves in the clitoris and still not as sensitive as a white man not getting his way. I think the main thing that I noticed right off the bat was that this clearly wasn't written by or for a 20-year-old. Tonally, it's so much more relatable to me, even though our main character, Alexis, is like this medical big whiz. So that's not what's relatable, but just like her attitude and the way she talks and the way that she interacts with people and the way that she interacts with her friends, it feels real. It feels like how I would interact with people. I am just appreciating it so much. I'm having fun with this, but at the same time, it's still a romance, and I have uncharacteristically read a lot of romance this month, so I need a break. That's where the journaling is coming in. And also, A Cat from Our World and the Forgotten Witch. It is a manga about an elderly witch, which, if you don't know by now, I love elderly characters as main characters in books. Why? I just think it's such an underrepresented category of people. So I love when I see it because we're all gonna get there. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us are gonna get there one day. So I just love seeing diverse representation in any way. Giant cat, regular human, right? No. So this cat is a regular sized cat, like from the human world. And because this cat is like from a different world, he doesn't understand how this magical realm works. And so he's just very upset that he doesn't have his crunchies, as he calls them. He's upset he doesn't have cat kibble. He's upset he has to eat like bat wings and eyeballs and slug tails and things. This is exactly the antidote I needed, just to mix things up. So anyway, that's what's happening. And now what we're going to do is our book journal. Now, this is project approximation, right? So it's not actually like the book girlies. My book journal is just a notebook filled with quotes from the books that I've read. Like the girlies go like scrapbooking and they make like little spreads for the TBRs. It's like bullet journaling for books, which I love. But I don't do that. This is my approximation. Anyway, we're working with these 3 books today. My main goal is to write down all my quotes from my husband. This is the book that I read this past Valentine's Day, because my Valentine's Day tradition is I get a bottle of wine and I get a short book of a toxic relationship, preferably with toxic obsession, and I just drink and eat chocolate and cake, and I do it by myself, and it's a great, wonderful time. This is a translated novel, translated from French, about a woman who is just absolutely obsessed with having the perfect life, and she's obsessed with having the perfect husband and the perfect relationship with him. And so she meticulously plans like all the details of her interactions with him, basically so she can manipulate him into acting how she wants. I really liked this book, especially compared to what I read the Valentine's Day before, which was Yes Daddy by Jonathan Parks Ramage. Don't get me wrong, this was a brilliant book, but it was not the fun gay romp I thought it was going to be. It was gay, but it was not fun. This is a very dark book. From what I remember, I was half drunk while reading it. That's part of the fun. This explores the toxic side of daddy culture within the gay community. 2 very different vibes. 2 very good books though. We're learning, we're growing, we're figuring out what books to read at what times. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do Chouette, and then I'm going to write down quotes, the very few that I have from elsewhere. I didn't like this book, but there were still a couple of lines in here that I would like to save and savor. That's what we're working with. Oh, that went down hard. Girls, I think I get it. At least a little bit. This stayed being the best. I have so many tabs. Okay, well, you can't really see them, but I do have a lot of tabs. I said that I hoped that this book would stay fun, and it did. The strength of this book is in its supporting cast. for me at least, we have so many different characters and they all have personalities, which I know is like a weird thing to say in a book. Like, of course a character has a personality, but let me tell you, not all of them do. This had humor and a mature tone, and even though it has the tropes of we can't be together because of our different life circumstances, they were actually believable in here, and the internal struggle of the characters debating whether or not they should have a relationship or try to make a relationship work, those things made sense. Those struggles made sense. What made this book for me actually was a couple things, surprisingly. Of course, all of the side characters, all of Daniel's friends, they were all funny, and they had their own struggles in life, which were nicely touched on. Like, one of the guys, you think, oh, this guy's a douche, and then you get to know him the more that you read, and you learn why he is the way he is and what he struggles with. And you learn to have grace for these characters that you judged right off the bat. Because that is a theme in this book too, is giving people grace and not just judging them on a whim. I'm typically not a fan of like dual point of view storylines, because the ones that I have read in across multiple genres, I never they always kind of seem the same to me, and they seem redundant and kind of like, what are we doing? Like, why? But this one, you get Alexis's point of view and Daniel's point of view. And I genuinely think this is the first book that I've read where the dual point of view enhanced the experience for me. Because as I said, Daniel has anxiety. He really does. And it's really interesting and valuable to see in Alexis's point of view how she views him and the actions that he is doing, and then to switch to his point of view and to see how he views himself and how he's worried that she is perceiving him. And it's just proof that you are your own worst critic and your anxiety lies to you, and you see that through these dual points of view, and I think that was done so well. We also touch on class disparities and how the rich are out of touch with humanity in general, and how that needs to be rectified. There was lovely commentary on how class disparities affect people and their health and their access to healthcare, and how that needs to fundamentally be changed. And so we explore the ramifications of class disparities on the healthcare system and on individual people who are trapped by poverty. That was handled deftly and with grace. It was refreshing. And so not only is this funny, and not only do these characters have a lot of chemistry, because they do, but it also had important social commentary. And it's incredible because Abby Jimenez is a very well-known, best-selling author. And usually I don't understand when a book says New York Times best-selling author. That means nothing to me. And I'm like, okay, I feel like they'll just say that about anyone and anything. But this, I get it. I get it, and it's deserved. Yeah, so honestly, I would confidently recommend this romance. I know. I'm just as shocked as you are. I will continue to advocate for the existence and societal embrace of the romance genre as a whole. And I will continue to support the romance book girlies, even if I'm not one of them. Because I'm glad that they're out there, making a difference by pedestaling the importance of these books and normalizing the enjoyment of very human stories. I really do believe that it makes a difference. Because the romance genre has been steeped in shame since its inception. Why is that? Well, because in a nutshell, men suck. And they've always found ways to punch down and punish non-men for enjoying literally anything, but especially things that may enlighten others to how inadequate they are. So advocating for the normalization of reading and empowering genres such as romance is actually advocating for women to be left the hell alone to enjoy the things that they love. And I will always be all for that. So even though, no, I didn't enjoy everything that I experienced while reading these books, and no, I don't think that every romance is created equal or that they all have equal merit as pieces of literature. That doesn't mean that their existence is not important in some way, big or small. And I'm still glad that they exist, even if I hate them, because ultimately, hey, guess what? Ultimately, my opinion means nothing. I'm just a dummy on the internet, throwing my opinion out like yesterday's trash. Reading is subjective. Read what you want, and that's all I've got to say.